There we go. A little bit of testing and changing and messing with settings. Alright, well hopefully this is working. We're back again. I want to hear from Gaming with the Cooler for another live stream painting show. Might have blown out everybody's microphone or headsets right at the beginning because, you know, that's how I am. Let me know. I see Bohort, you're in here first. Let me know how the audio is doing. I'm trying something different right now. We just set up the other microphone again rather than the headset that I've been using. So hopefully it's better. But we'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to be a hangout tonight. We're just going to do some painting. I've got some Necrons, more Indomitus Necron warriors that I'd like to finish up. We painted the bronze on them not too long ago. And so we've got those. You're a little bit underwater, but not that bad. Microphone should be the snowball. Let's see if I can hear myself. Oh yeah, of course it's not going to be caught up now. I just want to hear. That's not so bad. It's not like it was. It's better than that anyway. And I'll just sit a little closer, or maybe I can just pull this guy a little bit. Just pull the microphone a little closer to your face. Just you gotta speak right into the microphone. Just into the microphone. Anyway, also on the table we have a number of. Ooh, you guys can't see those at all. Oh, the color adjust is still trying to do its job. I have to turn that off too. All right, do that. Let's see if we can get this to work right. Oh, one sec. Alright, back again. Now it's still weird. It's still not quite... You can't tell what the fuck this is. Let's see if we do some lighting adjustments. You know, we just do these things on the fly. We don't set these things up in advance. What is the staple of my show? Alright, we're going to change it to a warmer color and brighter. We'll cast some shadows. Oh yeah, now it's not going to autofocus because I disabled that. That's pretty good. You guys can... I mean, the quality isn't great. Yeah, I cut the sound for a moment. Just had to adjust some stuff. I didn't want to blow out the headphones again. There we go. There we go. And then we've got, of course, Mr. 5th edition Chaos Warrior. Getting started on those. Yeah, that's kind of what we have on the table right now. There's a huge pile of Tyranids that I need to work on, but we'll come back to that. We'll do some Necrons. What do we need? We need some reds. And then we need to do the bases. So red is next. I'll use this little guy. We'll grab our little thing of paint. You get to look at the side of my arm as I go right in front of the camera. Perfect. See, it's still adjusting for saturation and making it really dark. What is doing that? None of the settings. Oh no, exposure went off again. There we go. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. We're mostly chatting anyway. Let's be honest. Is anyone actually watching what I'm doing? 99% of you guys who ever watch this video are just going to listen to the audio and go and do whatever you're going to do anyway. So, it is what it is. We're going to chat. We're going to paint. I'm going to pick up some paints here. What are we going to paint with? What red is this? Wazdaka? Evil Suns? Wild Rider? Let's go with Evil Suns. It's pretty bright. I assume everyone's painting. Hey there, Dave. You've been working on your Blood Bowl Elfhelm Eagles. See, the Elfhelm Eagles are one of the, like, new release teams, right? Along with, like, the Snotling Pumpwagon team and all that. Oh, that's going to be bad if they're going to keep hitting the camera or the microphone like that. Now I need to water this down, like, a lot when I go to paint. Actually, on this guy, it's just the trim. I think. I don't really remember how I painted my Necrons anymore, so... But I'm pretty sure it's just red on the blades. Something nice and easy. I was always a big fan of the Drukhari paint scheme, like the one with just like the hard green edges. But goddamn, is that a tedious paint scheme? Going over every single one of those little edges. It looks really cool, but whew. Just got back from the North Complex fire in California. Oh Jesus, how you doing? Are you part of the firefighting, or are you another, or are you just like, I happen to be nearby? And when I say part of the firefighting, I don't necessarily mean like, are you a firefighter? I mean, there are so many people involved when it comes to trying to organize anything involving movement of people and protection of things. So... hopefully it's okay. Hey there, Ghost. How you doing tonight? As we hang out here in our usual show, this Sunday night stream. I need to get these warriors painted up so I can have a 20-minute. You would think that the U.S. had bombs that extinguish fires through oxygen starvation, etc. I don't know, man. People really get confused about the scale of places. Like when you're talking about wildernesses on fire, like it's such a big area. Like it's like... I almost want to go with, it's indescribable the size of the big woodland areas in the far west of North America. So like if you look at if you look in up in BC and you look, just basically cut straight down along the Rocky Mountains to the west, that like woodland area, those forests, like some of the cities are basically just islands in a sea of trees. Like Canada in BC is I'm more familiar with, so I know that pretty well, but it is an incredibly large area, which is why it would be very easy to hide in such an area. It's why we know, we suspect that there's something out there, something Bigfooty. It is a scary idea. It's getting back into like a wild that doesn't really exist for the majority of humanity now, which is a really weird thing to think about. Is that like the idea of like going into the forest and not like the woodland between your city and the other city, but like the hundreds of thousands of kilometers of just woods isn't really a thing that exists for most people anymore. They just like, I get in my car and I skip the woods and go to the next thing that I want to see. But it's out there. It's still out there. Your uncle used to swear he shot a Bigfoot? Ugh. Wouldn't it be great? I don't know. I like my conspiracy stuff. I like my cryptids. Even if it is all fake, there's a lot of fun that you can have getting into it. Regardless of what your stance is, basically. You can either have fun just watching people enjoy themselves trying to track down these creatures, or you can have fun with the idea that those things are actually out there. And I like it all. What's going on, Owen? Nearly finished work here on Monday, New Zealand. Still crack up at time zones. 30-man, 40K tournament this weekend here. Just 12 models to paint. Oh, to paint 5 models. Everyone knows trees aren't real. I'm in Europe and England, and you can't drive anywhere without seeing anything that wasn't man-made. I mean, when you get into Europe, you get into places where there's like buildings older than buildings older than the countries that make up the world right now. At least in North America, and many of them throughout the world just haven't existed for as long as like some dude's shed. Lots of time to dig in there, but very different here. There's a lot of nothing out there. His story was he shot it in Colorado on an elk hunt, and they followed the blood cave for about 200 yards before it went into a cave, and they decided not to go into the cave. I mean, it sounds like a bear, but I also would not go into the cave. Even if it was a Bigfoot. Maybe even especially if it was a Bigfoot, I wouldn't go into the cave. I feel like you're just asking for trouble if you shoot a Bigfoot. It doesn't die, it just limps away, and then you follow it into its home. Like, you're asking to not come home from that that hunting trip. Oh, we're one warrior short. There he is. Most people say it was a bear. I mean, the reflex is, right? I even did it after just sitting here talking about how like I like the idea of it existing. But the reflex is there is like bear plus cave equals bear. That was all it was. There's never been a Bigfoot. But hey, I mean, maybe he did. I guess the ultimate thing would be to go back to the cave, right? But how the hell are you going to know where that cave is? Unless you're wandering around with GPS devices, which not everybody does, though nowadays. Maybe. Nowadays. I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting stories if you get into that. Like So to give people a hint about what my like personality type is, I tend to get really obsessed with things. Like I dig really deep into whatever topic it is that I'm interested in, and then I just drop it. Where it's like, okay, I've learned everything I feel like I want to know, and then that's it. I don't care anymore, and I retain a lot of information. It's why I feel I do fairly well with the miniature games. Is I can just remember a lot of stuff. I remember what did well before, what didn't, how to play, that kind of thing. But the same thing goes for all aspects of things that I get interested in. And at one point, the whole cryptozoology, Bigfoot, and conspiracy and all that kind of stuff was one of them. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I don't really care anymore, but I feel like I looked into it enough to go, I can see that the jury is still out here. I'm not willing to make like a hard case statement, because there's enough stuff out there that whether you believe it's actually another society of humans and blah blah blah, and or whatever you think, there's just, you never know. Pandas were a myth for 50 years in the modern era. You never know. This happened in the late 80s. I mean, there you go. There you go. Over here we have a large Black Panther type creature spotted once a year in the high country. There are no carnivorous predators here, so pretty interesting. Now, Bruce, you were saying that you're in England, right? Oh no, you're in New Zealand? Because there was a case in London, England, I think. It was a major city in England, where a panther escaped from the zoo and lived for like 6 months inside the city, with people just here and there spotting it. And if I recall correctly, I might be misremembering, but being unable to catch it because they couldn't find the thing. And that was in like one of the most densely populated things in humanity. Never mind tens of thousands of acres. Tens of thousands of acres of fucking horrifying bush. So when people are like, we went out there and looked in the woods and it wasn't there, it's like, yeah, did you? Did you look at all the woods all at the same time, everywhere? Was in London. Yeah, see, I thought that was the case. It's plausible that a lost human spin-off tribe got left behind. I mean, there's also talk about like the other offshoots of humanity that lived fairly like recently in geological or evolutionary timestamps or timelines. It was like the pygmy people and things of that sort. Can I tilt this a little bit down? There we go. So is Bigfoot supposed to be a single specific creature, or like a yeah, the Hobbit people is who I'm referring to, because they did exist, but they just didn't find, like, they weren't alive at this. They were alive at the same time as Homo sapiens, but we didn't potentially have that much interaction with them, if I recall correctly. I believe Bigfoot is supposed to be a species, not an independent creature. Because there's a lot of stories out there of encounters with multiple Bigfoots. Like male and female, offspring, things of that nature. Or just multiple Bigfoots, if they're all gender non-defined kind of thing. Like, I know there's one where there's like people staying at a cabin and they claim to have shot one, and then whatever they were came back at night, and they were throwing rocks down on the roof of the cabin because it was nestled up against a hillside or a cliffside, and there's a lot of audio from that. Bigfoot would just be a Neanderthal spinoff that survived. See, there's also interesting things from the Native American tribes in the region in BC, that there's some stories concerning like another group of people that were there when European settlers first came, that they talked about, but European settlers never really met. And some people have taken that to believe that that's like the Bigfoot tribe, and that the Native Americans who had lived here before were aware that this other group existed. And that other group basically went, nope, we're going back into the woods, rather than interacting. So who knows, right? Assuming that's true, that would be like one of the most credible things in my opinion. But I don't actually know, because you never know what you find when you look on the internet. Everything and nothing is real. What do you Americans think of the Dogman tales? I don't know what the Dogman tales are, actually. Rock ape from Vietnam. Like a werewolf. The rock ape that those US vets in Vietnam claim they gunned down close to range. I like the SPC version. Is it the one where they were like a hyper intelligent species, but humanity just like totally ruined them? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've heard of that one in Vietnam. I know there's the ape in South America where I forget his name. Somebody named ape, and it's like a little critter propped up on a stick that raised a bunch of issues, or a bunch of like, oh, what is this? What's actually happening here? But I don't remember the context. It's been a while. It's been a while. And it's something that you don't really use as like it's not a normal conversation where you're like, let's talk about cryptids and Bigfoots. So it's not exactly fresh in my mind. Had I planned to talk about this, I would have had more context. Yeah, we wasted them in a joke from one of their gods, and they try to contact us to tell us they forgive us. The Dogman tale is a Native American Indian tale. There have been sightings, wolf that stand on their hind legs and are taller than a man. Oh, interesting. Man, I wonder... You do wonder where this comes from, right? Next stream is Conspiracy with the Cooler. I'm Jesse Ventura, and this is Conspiracy Theory. Or Conspiracy Report. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know what he says. Drugs, lots. No. Sorry, you misunderstand. I don't mean necessarily these independent stories. I'm talking about the like. So there is a historical record of man and non-man creature hybrids that exists basically in every culture throughout time, and you wonder, is it something about people that, especially like specifically hairy, bigger humans, like that exists like all across the world. They call them different things. Like you've got Yetis, you've got Bigfoots, you've got Sasquatches, you've got whatever. I know there's a variant in Asia that exists as well. You have this story that exists kind of all around in kind of our in humans kind of cultural background. And you gotta think, like, where did that come from? Is it just a layover that there was this thing in the past at some point? But like those stories still exist. Like they're still everywhere. And it's I don't know. I find it really interesting. And that's nothing to get into like the weirder stuff that exists in like our mythologies, as it were. Ours being people's, like, humanity, not just whatever. You know what I mean? I was doing some poking around on the internet over the last week, and turns out most cultures have versions of vampires. Yeah, like, it's weird. There's a lot of things that come up again and again across cultures. which is to say nothing about like the other things that seem pretty human, like built in, like music, for example, is something that all humans partake in, and every culture is part of. Most countries have tales of undead. Big scary hairy humans might just be ancient daddy issues. I mean, maybe, but like we have like a built-in fear of snakes and stuff for reasons that make sense biologically. And it makes you wonder. Just saying. I'm just saying. It just makes you think, okay? Anyway, let's wander off the topic of I don't even know. What are we talking about right now? We're talking about weird conspiracies and things like that. Well, as St. George, he killed the dragon, which was probably the dinosaurs. Fair enough. Somebody had to do it. We had to cover up the meteor. It was a fake. I think it's just something that the brain doesn't fully process, then associates the unknown saying with a folk tale. So Blur becomes Bigfoot. No, I understand, but what I'm saying is, where's the origin of the folk tale? Like, I recognize that, like, 99.9, whatever percent you want to say, stories are all just misidentification. But I am also willing to accept the idea that a certain number of them are not misidentifications, or if they're all misidentifications, then where the fuck did this come from in the first place? Like, where did that idea come from, and why does it still, like, why is it still prevalent? Other than people are grifters trying to make money. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. Man, the new Overlord model is a pretty friggin' cool dude. You want to go on Bigfoot? So amusingly, a friend of mine and I made an agreement way back that at one point in our lives, we're going to go camping out in BC for like a month and try and hunt a Bigfoot. Wow, the exposure settings on this system are not very good. And they also default to auto like a lot. Stand by as we try and change up some tone. Is it like a weird color saturation that's causing him to look so weird? Is it just the contrast? Oh, we're going black and white. Goodbye, everybody. I'm kidding, we're going high saturation. Everything's really bright. Look at that sword. Whatever. I like the built-in tachyon arrow. The whole guy is just pretty cool. He's just a cool dude. Well, I gotta do shoulder spheres. Get those set up as well. Man, I have a tournament coming up for 40k this weekend, and I cannot even decide on what faction to play. Jesus. I've been thinking about it, and I build an army, and I go back to the drawing board, and I build an army, and I go back to the drawing board. And like the thing is so when I build an army, and I assume everyone does this, but when I build an army, I look at things and go, okay, what do I need? What are the things that I need to hit on? I need to have, first off, I need to make a legal army. So I need to have X amount of HQs, X amount of troops, blah, blah, blah. So I need the basics covered. And then after the basics, I then need those basics to be enough to be able to hold all of the objectives each turn. Because in order to be able to try and win these events, you need to be able to take any objective at any time. Or you're gonna run the risk of not being able to max out your points. But then it also needs to be able to do the secondary objectives that now exist. So you go, okay, well, what are the secondaries that I want to try and achieve? 2 out of 3 I can have total control over. One of them I can't. One of them has to be tied to my opponent in some way. And then after that, you go, what can I do then if I can make an army that fits the rules, and then also make an army that can hold the objectives, and then also make an army that can, while fitting the rules and holding the objectives, can also complete secondary objectives. I needed to then also deny my opponent the ability to get secondary objectives. So my guard army is what I was looking at, and I did a test game with the Chimera army that you guys might have seen on Ash's channel not too long ago. But the problem with it is it gives up one of the objectives very easily, the one concerning killing multiple tanks. Because throughout the course of the game, my tanks are doing all the heavy lifting. That's just the way it is. And so they're inevitably going to die, at least enough of them for them to score 15 off of that. The other issue is that it doesn't have a lot of boots on the ground to actually hold the objectives, and the tanks still only count for 1. And so we run into an issue there. Oh my god, the high saturation, right? It's bananas. So now it's like, okay, we could get more infantry in here. Let's see. I wasn't here at the start. Why are you painting Necrons? New army? New things to paint? I mostly know you for Tau and Imperial Guard. Oh my god. I'm painting Necrons because I have an Indominus set, and this was like the elite upgrade to the Indominus set. I've been playing that for a while. But I wanted to paint these just because this is all that's left of the Necrons, and I have a 2,000 point army. So I wanted to get that done. Let's see here. I have a painted Triarch Stalker. This is the paint scheme. It looks a little weird in the camera right now because I have the saturation up a bit so you can actually see the different colors. But yeah, lots of rusty looking, worn down kind of robots. Not so far as to get into like the overgrown ones that you've seen out there, I'm sure, but just not flat silver. Yes, I play Imperial Guard, but Tyranids are my number 2, and then my Eldar are my number 3. Maybe Orcs actually are number 3, with Eldar being number 4. I got a lot of armies now, actually. I feel like a lot of Warhammer game armies. So that is a thing. Alright, we need... I forgot that little brush in my car. Along with that yellow paint. Well, hopefully that doesn't explode on my seat. Do we have any paintbrushes that will do the thing that we need them to do? That's a little paintbrush. You'll do. We just need to throw down some sweet, sweet Wild Rider Red. So anyway, building armies. Giant pain in the ass. I'm looking at Tyranids, and then you're thinking about like, okay, well, what is it also that we have to play against too? Like my meta has kind of a very broad strokes. I know one guy for sure will have the Azrael bubble, like the Azrael parking lot, even though it's mostly infantry nowadays, but he'll have that. So you gotta be able to deal with a lot of Marines. They'll have a 4-up invuln and a sea of heavy weapons. You've got Custodes. There's like 2 players who play them. You're gonna get just other Marines, like the Iron Hand kind of thing. You're gonna get some kind of incredibly Forge World buffed Eldar or Tau army. There's a guy who has like a ton of the super units that come out of Forge World for both of those factions, and so he plays those often. I think it's the Lynx the one that has the auto hitting. It's effectively flamethrower las cannon. That thing is a nightmare because it has like a good save, moves really fast, has a feel no pain as well. What else? Nurgle is around. Tyranids are another one. There's another Tyranid guy. So, pretty broad. It's not like I'm going to go in and just build a list to fight Marines. You got to be able to take on all the things. Which is for the best. I think it's better that way. Chaos Lord? No, wait. Wrong faction. Necron. Overlord. That's the one. The red isn't as blown out as it is in this video when you see it in better lighting. So yeah, that's the thought process that's been going on. It'll probably be guard. It'll be guard or orcs, actually. Both of them have both of the strengths that I want. It might actually be orcs because I can just get the sheer amount of dice where I can make up for particularly bad rolls. Because even the guard can't do it the same way the orcs can. Chaos Android Overlord. Exactly. I wish I could get my stomp on the board and have a chance of winning. He's just so cool. I do have a Morkanot now, actually. I need to paint him up and get him out there. We'll see, though. We shall see. There we go. A little bit of colors on him. I do like these destroyers, and I did like this stuff that's come up for the new Necrons that are on their way, like the models. I'm mostly excited for the monolith, I'll be honest. More like... Oh, and the Cryptek who has like the screaming face. The Fear Cryptek. I don't think he'll be very good mechanically, but the model is super cool. And hopefully the monolith is good again. Because the Necron monolith has always been cool, but its rules have really fallen off in this later edition. There we go. Bit of color for Mr. Plasmacite. I hope these guys get bigger squads. The droids here, or the destroyers. We'll see, though. We shall see. Because it's cool that they have reanimation protocols, but it doesn't go so far when you only have to kill essentially 4, but basically 3 dudes. You also might notice that I'm painting these all as Reapers. I've built them all as Reapers. I actually really like the Gauss Reaper. I think it's a very effective weapon. I know it's got the short range, which is an issue, but if you're playing with the High Warden, you can basically make it that you don't have to worry about melee armies too much. And if you have a big enough squad of warriors, the reanimates will carry you through. And you can also take I don't have to take morale checks within X of my warlord faction, though that might change, so you never know. In fact, it probably will. But those items combined make it that you have this terrifying close and personal unit. You can My Will Be Done them. You could use a heat ray to boost their shots. And all of a sudden you have like, hey, we hit on 2s, rerolling 1s, wound on 3s. Here we go. We're going to shoot you 40 times. Most units don't survive that. Even big things are like, whoa, that's a problem. Like if you're a knight and you get shot, I wonder what the math is there. 40 hits on 2s, rerolling 1s, wounds on 5s, -2, 1 damage shots. Even -3 actually, because I usually play Mephirit, and so if I'm in rapid fire range, I'm additional rend as well. I guess they have an invuln, so it doesn't matter, but still, the Warden makes the Warrior's general way more interesting. Cool, they have options. Yeah, I mean, it's nice having the ability to just choose a different gun, that they're not all 100% the same. I think it does kind of hurt something from a theme-wise, that your Tireless Legion is now like 2 legions. Because there's the Tireless Legion who wield the one gun, and the Tireless Legion who wield the other gun. But, you know, it's still pretty cool. Yeah, so then we just need to put some basing material on these guys, and we'll have another couple units ready to go. Nice and quick and dirty. Get some red in there, get some two-tone basic silver dudes with little brown backpack armor plates. The heavier dudes are the same with black weapons and red stripes. Yeah, really simple. I'm not looking for super complex color schemes. I'm looking for something that I can really just pump out units with. Let's see if we adjust this a little bit now that I'm looking at how much of this is just out of focus. What if I turn on autofocus? What's going to happen? We'll try you for a little while, autofocus. Can you make solid Necrons army without transports? I don't really use the transports, I'll be honest. But I don't know if it's solid. That's kind of the thing. I like the Triarch Stalker quite a bit. I think it's a very interesting model and has a lot of potential in its ability to deal with kind of whatever threat you come up with. I like the Deceiver, being able to shunt units to the front right at the beginning. I like the Veil item, the one that gives you the ability to teleport a character. That way when you use the Deceiver to carry your army forward, you can have that and teleport him up there as well, just so you can get your auras and your buffs in. Yeah, so that's kind of my stance on transports. But the Ghost Arc being able to give you a second reanimate is incredibly powerful. Especially when you can be on 3s rerolling 1s. You're getting everybody back if you do that twice. Like, doesn't matter how many guys have died. You're getting that whole unit back. All right, let's get some technical astral granite. I'm trying to put that on. Got any thoughts on the core keyword and bubbles? I know a lot of people are upset by it. I don't know, really. I think my jury is still out. I want to see how it plays out. It's going to depend on who gets the core keywords. I like it if it's trying to really break up the hey, let's all just stand in a big circle. We're not going to actually interact with the game because we can just clump like this. I haven't been a big fan of that in this current edition. So we'll see. I still don't like... whatever. We'll leave it. So we'll see. Overall, I think it's a good idea. I never liked it. It was always weird that your guys inspired themselves. Like, I don't think there was anyone out there who didn't laugh at the idea of, like, the captain is such a brave commander and leader of men that he leads himself better. Like, that's why he had better stats. But, as far as, like, no longer affecting vehicles, but maybe some vehicles, no longer affecting this, but maybe some of this, we'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see how they balance that around. If they do it all. Just makes more, like... It makes it more difficult, in my opinion, to balance within the codex. Because there's going to be, like, a chunk of units in that army book that get reroll whatever they want, and a bunch that do not. Unless what they do is they give, like, even better versions of certain abilities to certain characters that continue to function on everyone. So, like, if you bring a captain, he only rerolls on core units. But if you bring Asriel, he rerolls on all units still, because he's the big man. Like, Gilliman rerolls on everything still, but an Ultramarine, like, Calgar doesn't. Or Calgar gets basic units plus X. There we go. Cheap heavy infantry, fewer nested rules, upsetting the dumbest people. Are we talking about Infinity? Because New Infinity is coming too. That is not far away. We'll have to see how that goes. Be nice to play Infinity again. It's been a while. With all the events being canceled and stuff like that. Oh shit, I should have painted Infinity tonight. I told Spud I'd paint an army this month. That's okay. We'll do it next stream. I wish locals played Infinity. Yeah, man, Infinity, one of the big names in Australia. It's really sad about 15-man limits. Yeah, it's cool there's stuff going on in Tabletop Simulator. There's been a lot of that kind of all over during this whole event. I got into one for Relic Blade, Metal King Studios game. But it kind of died out as the lockdowns started loosening up. It just kind of faded away, which is a bummer. I think the final mission has finally come out, but I don't really care anymore. And I don't think anyone else did either. Like it just kind of like we had fun while it was there, and people were in all the time. But then things kind of went back to normal, and that was the end of it. I don't know how I feel about some of the changes in Infinity, but I like everything else. I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to get into it, play it, see how it feels. So we'll have to see. We will just have to see. I don't know. I'm not one for making a lot of judgment calls on things that I don't have enough information about. Like I don't get hyped about things because I need to wait and see. I do not trust literally anything when it comes out or when it's announced. Like, yeah, it could be anything. It could be good, it could be bad. Depends on how it gets executed, essentially. I'm like trying to remember the last thing I had coming out that I was excited for. Like, there's things that have come out that I've really enjoyed and I've really had fun with, but nothing that like, oh my goodness, I can't wait until this comes out. It's only a few days away. Yeah. We'll see. I wonder if they're going to do anything for Orktober. I'd like to see some new Orc models that aren't just fucking the same buggy 18 million times. Not that that's really going to happen, let's be honest here. Because it's Necron and Space Marine month. Or Necron month, but Space Marines get their equal attention cake. Man, Necron's got so much love, though, in this new release. There's like 19 new kits or something like that. I saw a list compiled somewhere of all of the new kits that have come out for Necrons after this. Like, yeah, this is going to be their last big release for a couple years, but hey, at least they're getting something. Not like those filthy Eldar players. You get back in your hole. You'd be glad that you just get to continue to play. New Wraiths are kind of sweet. They're like the Destroyers, but on a Wraith body, right? Like the new Destroyers, not the old Destroyers. You know what I mean. The guys I am painting right now. I want a Tyranid equivalent for Age of Sigmar to come out. They keep hinting at a bug race, and god damn it, I would play a bug race. Just release it already. The Lumineth release has been really poor here. I don't think anybody bought into them in my local group. I think they were one of those things that they're still on the shelf after release day, which doesn't usually happen around here. Like, usually if somebody wants it, it's getting bought, but who knows? When's Tau get Vespid flyers? Vespid used to exist, didn't they? I like distinctly remember there being Vespid units with a controller. So, like, I'm sure they had one. I remember like the little orange hats, and there was one who had like the main brain controller. Like, I'm sure of it. I can see the kit in my mind's eye right now. This might have been like 10 or 15 years ago, though. But I don't remember. And even still, they still don't hold out against Eldar. And the worst part is like, they had a nice little doorway there with Ynnari to start really shaking up the Eldar line and bringing out some new stuff. But then they went and made it that Ynnari's not even playable in competitive games, or at least in matched play, which, let's be honest, everyone plays match play. The exception is someone who doesn't play match play. You may not play it on like a tournament level, it might be just beer and pretzels with your buddies, But you're playing with points, and you're playing with that kind of shit that match play comes with. You're not just bringing whatever models you feel like. And he brings whatever models he feels like, and there you go. I'm sure that Vespid had a model. Am I basing models? Yes, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting on some Astro... Oh, Jesus, there's a thumb. The texture paint that you can get from the G-dubs. Is not a good picture, but you get what I mean. I had just finished painting these guys up, and now I'm going to put this on. Wait for it to dry, which takes like an hour, more or less. Then hit it with Nuln Oil, and then dry brush it back up again. And you get some nice looking battle terrain, or like dirt, earth kind of stuff. Vespid still exists. See, I thought so. Get out of here. Coming into my channel and spreading your lies. This is a sophisticated place where we only talk about truth, like Bigfoot. Are all the technical paints good for basing? I don't know. Here, you know which ones I like? I like the Badlands one, and I like this one. The Astro Granite. The red Badlands one is also nice. The snow one's not bad either, actually. If you're just looking to add a little bit of snow, like a little something onto a unit, not like an entire base of snow, but if you've done like dirt or something and you wanted to add a little bit more, the snow one is pretty good. In my opinion. I mean, obviously you can just do baking soda, like baking soda PVA glue. Don't worry about it. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to spend the money, not the effort, the snow one's pretty good. Speaking of which, I have the snow one right there. So like, I'm that guy too. It's all good. I guess it makes it somewhat hard to talk about the new hotness if I'm not going to make takes on on things that aren't released. Let's all talk about this crazy new thing. I guess I could get into like, what is it that the other ones do? Like industry descriptions and shit like that. I don't know. I don't care. I just like playing games. Playing games with the miniatures. Had a couple games recently against the Namardi fish people with my goblins, and I have been having a bunch of success with the goblins. The Gobapalooza plus Loon Boss with Giant Squig, not on, with, plus 60-man goblin unit with netters, it gets so much work done. Like, it just does the exact job you need it to do. It's a bit pricey because it's costing you probably 300, 400, 500, 600 points of your potentially probably 2,000 point army. But they'll live the entire game. Like, they'll get in a fight at the very beginning and they'll just fight forever against multiple units. And not only will they just fight them, they'll kill them too. Like, you'll eventually roll those sixes on the mortal wounds, or just hit them a bunch of times when the moon comes out, and then next thing you know, you've just obliterated a unit. And it takes a long time for 60 wounds to die, especially when they have a 5-up save because they've all got little shields, 4-up save against shooting, and in all practical terms, whenever you're trying to fight them in melee, you're -1 to hit. And losing 16% of your attacks off the top is a pretty significant amount of damage that you lose out on. 1 in 6 of your attacks no longer hits. That otherwise would have. If you hit on all the dice, but you don't, do you? You probably only hit on 4s. Have I had a chance to play more Jaws of Mork? I have, and I've refined that a little bit more. Rather than pure Jaws of Mork, having that Gobapalooza kind of anvil that the enemy can attack. But so like basically, okay, I'm all over the place. Big units of bounders rush forward as fast as they can, fight and die as early as they can in the game, while the 60-man blob advances up, capturing territory and just being what it is, holding the door. Then, because your bounders die so quickly, you can bring them back more likely than you would have been able to bring back that goblin squad, because they're just out there fighting and dying really quick. So you like rush forward. I had 2 units of 15 Boingrot bounders, and one of them like dive bombed on the first turn, like all in squig lure, +3 movement, roll pretty good, reroll, all that kind of stuff. Go like 25 inches or something like that, and charge, and everyone fights, and we do a bunch of mortal wounds on the charge, and then everybody dies in like the first round. Like he killed me on his turn when he followed in. But I scored a bunch of points early, and I killed 1 or 2 of his units off the bat. He kills all of my guys. My next wave hits him. The goblin wave starts fighting. But then the first squad comes back 8-man strong, and then goes back in again. And now the second squad is dead at this point, and now I'm rolling to get them back. All the while, the main horde is still fighting on the front line there. And you're just getting more units back. And like 16 extra Boingrot Bounders is 300 points in that army. And all it requires, and they're going to get back in and get to do something too, which is nice. Because they're fast enough to be able to just hop back in, re-rolling how far they go, running and charging, all that kind of shit. Or just reappearing and defending the home base, which is what I've had to do in the last couple games, where somebody has like their flanking unit ignored the main horde. They've moved up onto my objective, but then 8 goblins on mounts just jump back out and hold and take the zone again. Super successful. Tried out some snufflers just to try and up the output on the goblin horde, and that was fairly good as well. I think I'm going to try and work a way to get snufflers into more of my lists. I've started being more cognizant of the different Moon Clan spells, playing them in, like the fungoid, or not the fungoid shaman? One of the shamans, giving him that great green spite to go with that 60-man blob. So he's just throwing out a d6 damage smite every turn. And throwing out d6 mortal wounds is pretty nasty. Like, you roll a 6 and units feel that. Like, people, you just lose 6 guys. And it's like, holy shit. Or you lose an eel and a half, which probably costs more than that goblin did himself. I do still wonder what the giants are going to be like whenever the hell that actually happens. The standalone giants faction that are the Knights of Age of Sigmar. Because it might be something I add to my goblin army. If they're cool. If it's lame, like if it's too powerful or too tedious to play, then I probably won't. But if it's cool, I will. We'll just have to see. Pretty quiet night tonight, though. Looks like everybody's just focused away on painting. Gonna try and do a gaming stream this week. For those of you that don't know, I've been playing a lot of Gladius recently. I've really been enjoying that. We're gonna do a kind of multiplayer stream at some point. I'm gonna figure out a day when it'll work. It'll probably be in an evening. I can have I'm gonna say as many as we want, but really the limit is 14 other people. There's a Discord set up on my Facebook page that you can get a link over to if you're interested in joining that. If we did stop talking about Bigfoot, the interesting things are gone now. Now it's just garbage like miniatures and painting. Yeah, so you can jump over there if that's something you'd be interested in. I would wait until Gladius goes on sale if you don't already own it. It's a pretty good game, and I've enjoyed it a lot, but I wouldn't buy it for full price. Thankfully, if you do end up buying it down the road, I have all the DLC, so you can play with everything. You won't get all the factions, but we'll probably do theme games. Like we're going to do like Fall of Cadia, where it's a bunch of Imperial and Space Marine players against Chaos Space Marines and stuff like that. We'll customize the maps and just have human players battle it out in a big 40k RTS thing. That's pretty fun. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, if you're interested, jump over on the Discord. I'm going to try and make an event soon. And we'll do that, get it all set up. There we go. I think that's everybody. So there we go. Now it's just a case of waiting for this to dry. Then we dry brush the bases. Sorry, then we wash the bases, dry brush them, and give them that black strip around the outside. Oh, sorry, not RTS, it's turn-based. No, the link says it's invalid. It was supposed to last forever. Fucking Discord. Do I still have Discord open? No, I don't. Stand by. We'll see if we can get it up. Gladius server. I want to create an invite. It won't expire. You know what? We'll give it a day for now. There we go. Can I paste this? Can I put it in the chat? Hey, there you go. So if you want to get in the chat, that's the link. It'll expire tomorrow. You can send me a message on Facebook if you're interested otherwise, but it'll be kind of annoying to get into it. What do I think about the new Necron minis? The Warriors are tedious as fuck to build. They're cooler and nicer, but goddamn are the Warriors a pain in the ass. All in all, though, I really like them. Getting minis done for Brutality / Frostgrave. Nice, nice. What's my favorite change in 9th edition so far? The change to how you get command points has been my favorite one. That you get them and lose them as you bring spammier, shittier stuff. It's changed the way armies are built in a pretty significant way, and I don't ever hear people really talk about that. And I think it really changes the way the game plays because you don't have as much random, useless garbage on the board. You didn't bring minimum plus minimum to get extra 5 command points like you used to. Now it's like everyone you're bringing is effective and it has a purpose, and your army is built around a certain kind of thing. But so is everyone else, and everyone's playing with the same kind of pool to start with. Yeah, so I think that's my favorite change so far, is the way command points work. Especially if they were going to go through so much trouble to like have a command point system and all these different abilities and then make it like tedious as shit to actually use it. All right, though, we are probably going to just wrap things up. I kind of finished what I set out to do here. Let's take a look at what a normal Necroid looks like. This is my paint scheme. Very, very easy, very quick. No issue mimicking it if you want a nice, simple, they look good when they're in a big group kind of paint scheme. You prime them with the lead belcher spray paint. You wash the entire model in the then you use one of the flesh washes. I think it's Dark Oath Flesh, to darken up the plates that are on them, or the pointy little legs, and use the black Black Templar's black contrast paint on all of the like the wires and the guns. Then hit the guns with a red and then an orange just to brighten it up afterwards. Base them with the texture, wash, dry brush. I've already said it. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, including or 8 steps, including the dry brush on the base. But many of them are like whole model, big area, like real quick, easy to do. You're not digging for detail. You're not trying to do that kind of stuff. And they look pretty good when they come out in a big group. The only thing you need is a bit of tufts on the base, so you can do that. But all in all, it's not bad. So with that, we're going to wrap up the show. I appreciate everyone who hung out during this time. I got to figure out a better way to film these. The problem is like I paint like really close to my chest, and there's no way for me to set up a camera where you can see that. Like I can't do like Chris, for example, on Way of the Brush. He'll have like a model in a spot and paint it like right there. Like he'll sit there and hold it and be like, I'm painting this model. I like move around and like lean back and forth and change the way I'm painting all the time. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I just need to fix some lighting. Have like or you know what can be another idea is set up a little display and all the models will sit on that, and then I just take them off and paint them and put them back up again. So like instead of just being spread out like they are now, I'll put them in like a little like light box kind of thing and get really nice looking images of them, and then paint them as we go. Maybe even do like a time lapse in the future and you'll just see them all become painted. I don't know. I'm just rambling now, but yeah, it's been fun, guys. I'll see you next week, likely earlier than that. Once again, there is a link in the chat for now to jump on to Discord. Not very many people in it right now, but that's how it is. We'll see how it goes in the future. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.